at a better price than anyone in the industry. Our products are made fresh to order just for you. Dairy Queen Silver Springs, where we always treat you like kings and queens.
I'm sorry. I'll get there later. 5 minutes after 8 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. Let me do the amateur weatherman thing real quickly, and then we'll go to Galen Unold. Where is it? Where's my weather? 79 right now, 89 the expected high. There's only a 20% chance of rain. Ooh, that went up, huh? Most likely in the afternoon. Tomorrow, pretty much the same thing. Highs are on 90 tomorrow. The Friday through Monday is like a 50% chance of rain every day. I'll kind of just average it out a little bit. Galen Unold is on the phone from the LifeSouth Community Blood Center. Good morning, Galen.
Hey, good morning, Larry. Robin, how are y'all?
Good. Where are you today?
I'm in Gainesville today.
The phone disconnected yesterday, and we didn't know where you went.
Yeah. I was like, something happened. It was weird. I got that weird tone and everything. I was like, I don't know. All right.
So I wanted to tell you that I listened to the entire podcast you did with John Goodwin up at DragonCon. For those
it's already out. Okay.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right.
I listened to the whole thing, and it sounded really good. You guys did good, both of you, and nice quality sound. I wish we had that quality sound, but of course you'd have to be in the studio to get that. The one thing I wanted to point out, for those who don't know who John Goodwin is, he's the president of Galaxy Press, which is a publishing company that publishes L. Ron Hubbard's books, and it's not all about Scientology, just so you know. In fact, I'd say most of it is about science fiction, the science fiction that the guy wrote, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, pretty sure. So anyway, and there's a connection with what you do with blood, right? The Heinlein, what's the guy's name?
Robert Heinlein, who's a science fiction writer. Yeah, he's considered the godfather of science fiction.
And what's the connection with donating blood?
He was a huge proponent of hemophiliacs, and he felt the best way to help them is to have people give blood, and he wouldn't sign autographs or any books unless you were a blood donor.
Oh, really?
When you would go to these conferences and stuff, and these sci-fi conventions, and that's what the Heinlein Society is all about.
Yeah, and
did I tell you a story that I heard about? L. Ron Hubbard and Robert Heinlein were really good friends, right? They were I don't know, what do you call it, cohorts and, contemporaries, and they made a bet. Now, this is the story, I don't know how true it is, but they made a bet, and L. Ron Hubbard said, I could make more money off of creating a religion than I could writing books. And that's how Scientology started.
I have heard that. I don't know if it's true. Maybe it is. I don't know.
I don't either. I had heard that. I'm like, oh wow, and of course, L. Ron Hubbard won the bet. So,
yeah,
that's a fact.
That's kind of funny. Well, and all the Scientologists. Not to harp on this too much because I want to go to the September 11th stuff, but all of the Scientologists I've ever talked to, first of all, have been really nice, so I don't have any problem with them. They've never tried to persuade me to change my mind about my religion. In fact, most of them are also Christian. Now, I don't know that all of them are. I can't say that, but many of them are. They're Christian, and somehow Scientology is more like a Tony Robbins kind of a thing. But at the same time, I've read. I
get what you're saying.
Yeah, but I have read articles from people who, and we've had guests. In fact, we've had guests on the air who wrote books about it's almost cult-like in some places. So I don't know. I mean, maybe some places make it cult-like and other places don't. I don't know. It's kind of one of those weird things I'll never know because it's going to be hard to change my mind about what I believe. I don't know. So, hey.
I get what you're saying. That's for sure.
One thing I wanted to tell you is I was listening to the conversation you were having with John Goodwin. And everything was really great, but you never once mentioned tartar sauce. You never once mentioned sleeping at the train station. You never once mentioned anything about S&H green stamps. And I never heard you mention Building 7. Now, what's up with that?
That's a good question. Yeah, those didn't come up. I mean, they obviously should have. Obviously, John needs to do more of his homework on the radio. It's weird. It's one of those. I enjoy John. It wasn't. I didn't know it was going to be out. I didn't think it was going to be out for a couple of weeks.
Honestly, it's really very good, and it really serves the purposes well that you want, that you are committed to. So it's a keeper for you. You should download that and put it in a frame. Too bad you can't put sounds in a frame. That'd be nice.
That'd be wonderful.
I'm just hoping that somebody doesn't find it and go, "Can you believe Galen said this?" That's
no
to get me in trouble.
That would happen on this show. That wouldn't happen on that podcast.
It has happened on this show. Things I'm like, really? That's the one you're upset about? Yeah. Really? Of all I've said some really stupid things. That's the one you're upset about. Okay. All right. Can't help you there.
All right. So I printed up an article that I have not read. I didn't want to read it because I wanted to read the talking points at the same time. I want you to hear them at the same time I'm reading them, okay? The headline says...
All right, let's do it.
The 9 most important questions about 9/11 that remain unanswered. Okay?
Okay.
I have not...
Yeah, let's do it.
I haven't looked at it except for the headline. And then I printed it up, 16 pages. Sorry, Dan. And I have them in front of me, and I want to go through them right now. But before we do that, how is the blood supply?
Right now we're right at a 3-day blood supply, and we're just trying to catch up. So hopefully, now that we're into the fall and school's back in, and there are no more holidays until, really, if you think about it, until Thanksgiving. So hopefully everything's going to be well, and we just need people to get out there and get to life and donate blood.
Donate blood. And remember, there's a blood mobile, 2 of them, and there's also a blood center for LifeSouth right there on Silver Springs Boulevard. All right, now Robin can see that I have the first page here, and the first part of the article is the different views about 9/11. So the first question that remains unanswered hasn't been revealed yet. Now I'm going to return the page.
There you go. I see it.
Here we go. Now let's just speculate on this because these are...
All right, here we go.
Okay. Why didn't NORAD intercept the planes? I have a theory on this.
I thought that question was answered.
It says it wasn't. There's a big, long, several paragraphs worth of answer, but I didn't want to give you what they said. I wanted to tell you what I think.
And you should.
Ahead, Larry, go ahead.
Okay, put yourself in the president's place. Do we shoot down planes that have people in them? How's that going to make us look? That's not good, right? There was no way of knowing that they were going to crash those planes into those buildings? Not for sure, right? So, that to me is the reason we didn't shoot them down. So to me, that's not
the only one they were really worried about, that they even had an opportunity, and I guess the evidence is a little sketchy on this, that they had a chance to intercept, would have been the one that ended up in that field in Pennsylvania. And they obviously couldn't shoot down the first one, or really even the second one, and the one that hit the Capitol, or I'm sorry, the Department of Defense. The
Pentagon.
They shot that one down either.
Yeah, so let me just... let's see. Shall I even read it? It's very long here. While the 9/11 Commission repeated this third version of event, it's a very long thing. So I'll just pass on. Okay, we'll just try to answer the questions ourselves.
Okay, there you go. I like that.
All right, here you go, Galen. What brought down the World Trade Center towers? This question has not been answered. What brought them down?
I'm pretty sure. I think we all know that.
It says we don't.
Okay. I'm sure we know.
Let me just read what it says here. I'll read a little bit. The problem with the theories is that the plane crashes were different. Flight 11 hit the north tower straight on. Flight 175 hit the south tower in the corner, tilted diagonally, and yet collapses were virtually identical.
Yeah. I think they've done so much science on this, and the jet fuel burned the steel, and I think this has been answered.
Okay. So, next question that they say is not answered.
Don't you agree with that?
Well, first of all, I'm going to tell you I don't know. because I really don't know. Because I've had questions about it all of these years. But that doesn't mean I necessarily buy into any conspiracy theory either. And why one piece, when it was looked like it should have tilted and fallen over, why it didn't do that. But you know what? It did do that. When you look at, I can't remember which tower it was. It did sort of lean off to the side and then go straight down.
Yeah. Swayed, and then it came, and then it all fell on top of itself.
So I'm kind of with you on that.
They've done a ton of science on that. So.
All right.
I mean, at some point you have to just trust it or not trust it, and I understand that.
Actually, it's probably where I stand on that one too. All right. The one thing I would like to know is, why did President Trump, when he was campaigning, tell an audience that if he's elected president, he will let us know exactly what happened? And yet that hasn't happened yet.
Well, I mean, let's be clear. Trump says a lot of things. Mm-hmm. I think he just talks. And somebody in the audience said, we need to know what's going on in 9/11. And he said, yeah, if I'm president, I'll let you know what happened on 9/11. I don't think he thinks about things before he speaks.
That sounds right. Okay.
I mean, that's very, very... I mean, I think if we can all agree on one thing, I think we can all agree on that about Trump.
Yeah, that is true. All right. The next question that, according to this author, has not been answered. How were the hijackers identified so quickly? How did we...
they had pictures of them going on the plane and all their information and everything.
Yeah.
I think these are very well answered. They knew about these people. I mean, they had already gotten their pilot's license here in Florida. And, I mean, who knew? You can't... we live in a free country. We don't arrest somebody for not doing anything.
One thing that is interesting, just as an observer, is if you look at the surveillance videos that were used to identify them, they are so poor quality compared to what we have today. In today's world, you could... there's no question. There was a video of somebody stealing somebody's TV, a home surveillance system. You could see the guy so clearly.
I know. You wonder why that it couldn't have been more clear back then.
All right, the next one, unanswered question. Why?
Technology?
Technology has changed, All right, the next question. Why didn't the CIA, NSA, or FBI stop the hijackers? Why didn't they stop them?
They didn't know. I mean, again, they just didn't know. They weren't sharing information. I find these questions, not offensive, but I think you're allowed to ask questions, but they've been answered. Every one of these has been answered.
It says, why did the world's best-funded, most technologically sophisticated intelligence apparatus fail to stop even one of the 19 men who the commission says were the criminals behind the attacks?
There are 19 amongst how many million? And it hadn't happened before. How many have we stopped subsequently, I think, is probably a better question.
Yeah, but they were being watched, though, and, they were on their radar, and when somebody flies...
That's not true. These terrorists weren't being watched then. There was no reason to watch them. They weren't criminals. We had no idea what they were planning.
Okay.
That's not true.
But just to fortify why they are asking the question is because apparently question number 5 helps us understand that. Why were the pre-9/11 investigations shut down? There's a whole chart here showing some of these very people were already on the radar.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought they were already being investigated, being watched. Good morning.
For what?
That's an interesting little piece.
They were here legally, and then I think I don't remember all the details. I know most of them were here legally, and then I think there were 1 or 2 that overstayed their visa, but nothing that they could bring them in and even question them on. I mean, that's the society we live in.
All right, here's another one.
Hindsight, of course, is 20/20, but there's nothing to bring them in on.
Now, here's a good one. Why was the 9/11 Commission denied access to source material and witnesses?
That's a good one.
Again, I think that's been answered. And a lot of it was for national security purposes. So
the commission itself, according to the co-chairs of the commission, was delayed, underfunded, denied access to material, witnesses, and material. Despite this, much of the information highlighted by skeptics and advocates of rival accounts was readily and publicly available while the commission was investigating. They feel like they weren't shown everything they needed to see.
Well, every government guy always says that. You know, I mean, I think at some point that just becomes politics. I think the bottom line is, when you look at it, everybody's like, well, we should have done something. And everybody feels that we should have done something better. And because of that, I mean, our laws have gotten a lot tougher. Today, if we suspected somebody like that, we could arrest them beforehand. But you couldn't do that, you know, on September 10th of 2001. So whether we should be able to do that is, I think, a different question. I think a lot of our security, we gave up a whole lot of liberty for our security.
The last question: who the hell is Khalid Sheikh Mohammed? It says, while we were told 9/11 was the brainchild of Al-Qaeda CEO Osama bin Laden, the story rapidly evolved into a claim that Khalid Sheikh Mohammed was the mastermind behind the attacks. But who is he? So apparently we don't know who he is.
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't he dead now?
I thought so, yeah.
Didn't we kill him? Yeah, we caught him and killed him, and yeah, I mean, he was on trial. Yeah, that was we arrested him back in 2003.
Are you sure he's dead? I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think we killed him. Didn't we? Or maybe he's still in jail. I know we caught him in 2003. So I don't know. Maybe he's still in jail somewhere.
Do you know what I have a question?
Maybe he's in Guantanamo.
Do you know what I have a question about? Is we had a guest on, and I know you know this, and I can't remember his name, but he was an ABC correspondent, and he had a well-known name. Was it Spencer, Robin, or something like that?
Yeah, Spencer.
And he had written a book about it, and I said to him, let me ask you a question. Every time I question that Building 7 was knocked down because of debris from the other two buildings, I get jumped on by people like Galen Unold. Who seem to think that by
that's absolutely fair.
Who seem to think that by questioning it, I'm agreeing with those people who are conspiracy theorists. But at the same time, why is there no other building built the same way with the same kind of fire ever fallen down like that? Now that was my question, and I know you know that you don't agree any of that I just said, so I'm not trying to argue with that. But my question is, why, when this guy from ABC News told us on the air, and I have never been able to find the recording, it might be out there somewhere, he told us on the air that building was wired to be brought down in case of something that went wrong because all of the sensitive information was in there.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Building 7 now, not the other two buildings.
Yeah.
It was damaged and needed to be brought down before somebody went in there and got whatever was in there. That's what he told us.
Yeah.
And, you know, and yet every time I bring that up since then, everybody says, nah, that's not true. So that's my question. Why is it that some guy who had, I don't know, credentials more than I'll ever have, why was he able to say something like that with such confidence and nobody else seems to want to even address that at all?
Maybe he was trying to sell a book.
Well,
I mean,
actually, that part wasn't in the book.
And we talked about this. We talked about this. There's no evidence to back that up. That claim. So, I mean, and I think that's the problem with events like this that are that big. I mean, there's still people that believe that, you know, Pearl Harbor was an inside job, and I think people just try to explain their irrational behavior by making rational decisions, and it just doesn't work that way.
And then we were watching a broadcast of two TV reporters on, you know, in Britain then, and they were talking and they were panning everything, and then they had said that the next building came down. It was Building 7, and they were panning out there, and Building 7 was still standing, and then all of a sudden it came down. So I could never understand why, and they were shocked, you know, because they were telling news as if it already happened, and it didn't happen yet.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot.
I won't ever forget that.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think they're people, and they didn't know. I think there was a lot of misinformation back then. So, yeah, I'm not surprised that people found out things. They knew things.
These are talking points that I suppose will never end. And
no. I mean, I've worked in a newsroom, and when you have an event like that, it's crazy. You're just you're scouring information, and you're just trying to get as much information as you can, and it doesn't mean it's always accurate.
In about 20 minutes, it'll be 18 years exactly since the first plane crashed into the first building. It was 8:46 a.m. when Flight 11 crashed into floors 93 through 99 on the North Tower of the World Trade Center. Any of us who were alive at that time remember it like it was yesterday. Maybe we don't have all the answers, but we do know, trying to steer it back to donating blood, that it became a day when everybody sort of came together, or did come together.
Yeah.
Including helping out in the effort that Galen has been working with. How many years you been doing that? More than 18.
Since 1998.
Yeah. Wow. So if you can remember that day and how we all understood the need for blood, well, that need never changed. That's still there. That was the only day. Didn't you tell us that was the only day when you actually had to turn people away?
Yeah.
Yeah, that hasn't happened since. It's crazy. My youngest son wasn't even born when 9/11. My oldest was just a few months old, and it's still as big of an event. It's the biggest event that'll ever happen in my life.
Let's hope so. Let's hope nothing bigger happens.
Yeah, in a good way and a bad way. I think our foreign policy is still based on that. I think our security is still, and in a lot of ways, our democracy. We're still fighting a war in Afghanistan because of this.
Yeah, the word Taliban is still in the news.
Yeah, I don't think anybody on in 2002, September 11, 2002, thought we would still be in Afghanistan. It's kind of crazy, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it is. But obviously, we're doing what we're doing. By the way, today is also Robin's birthday.
Right. That's right. Sure is.
Well, thank you, but I take a back seat for that.
If you want some cake, we got 2 of them today.
I know. This is plus donuts. This is great. I'm having a good eating day today.
I'm assuming they're not twin towers or anything. That would be weird.
Oh, I wanted to ask you something. Have you been to the new the Freedom Tower? Have you gone to that?
No. Haven't. I haven't. I want to. I've been talking about going for the last 10 years or so, and just haven't gotten there.
Yeah, I haven't done that one yet either.
It's one of the things I want to do. My wife and I were talking about the other day. It's like, we've been blessed and done a lot of things that we want to do. We just haven't been to New York together. So she's going to Greece for 2 weeks. So now
with your mom. You said with your mom.
When does she go to Greece?
Yeah, my mom and my 2 sisters.
Yeah.
Next Sunday, or this Sunday.
Oh my gosh.
This Sunday.
I'm
laying in bed. I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do? And she looked at me and she goes, "Make sure the dogs don't die."
Oh my gosh.
That's it.
There you go.
I mean, there's a real chance that I could do half of that. Well, it's going to be a long 2 weeks.
I will forevermore think of you on September 11th because of some of the conversations we've had about those attacks. So,
and I do think those are healthy conversations, but I also believe that at some point you just say, okay, these are the facts as we have them. You just have to at some point you have to either trust them or not trust them. And I completely respect both sides.
Well, let me tell you something. Every official explanation is believed by the guy who was actually there that I know, Jimmy McCauley. The guy. I refer to him all the time. I'd love to be in the room when you two are together.
Yeah, that would be marvelous.
I'd love to listen to you talk sports because I know it would be over my head. But
it'd be fun. I'll bring you pretzels.
I can pour milk and stuff. Milk and cookies. Well, beer and pretzels.
Okay. Beer would probably be better.
what was I going to ask you? Something. Anyway.
Well, you and Tristan are going to be bachelors, so I think you both are going to have a good time. He probably won't even be home because he'll be having fun with his friends, and then there you will be.
Galen, where's the
Well, he can't get anywhere. That guy can't even drive. It's rough.
No, I think you guys will have fun, and your wife and mom and your two sisters are going to have a great time.
Not sure that's true, Robin. Not sure that's true. No, I mean, I think we're hoping for the best. I don't think there's going to be any fun involved.
You don't have to pick your laundry up from the floor. You can leave it there the whole time.
Oh no, that's an assumption. I've been broken. I'm a broken man. I do what. She'll probably be like, FaceTime. Did he pick this up? Did he pick up the trash? The laundry? Is the dishwasher emptied? These are the things that I think about at night when I sleep.
Did your mom and did your wife
to get yelled at today?
Hey, let me ask you something. Did they have to get special vaccinations to go to Greece?
No.
Okay.
Oh, really? Nice. Didn't know that.
All right. So where's
I mean, it's it is Greece. It's a first world country. It's been around for a while though.
Where's the Bloodmobile today?
Hey, Bloodmobile today. We're actually at the centers. So just come by and again, today is a day that a lot of people donate blood in memory of everybody who died in that tower, or fighting for our freedom, or for the people that they were trying to get out. So let's not forget our first responders today, and just please give the gift of life and donate blood.
Well said. All right, Galen, be careful out there. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right, let's do it. I'll see you all later. Thank you.
We'll be right back.
Broadcasting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
Here is your 1-minute news brief. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis said the state is sending enough bottled water to fill 10 tractor-trailer trucks to the Bahamas as the islands recover from Hurricane Dorian. Florida Power and Light is also contributing 9 truckloads of water for the effort. A 17-year-old Umatilla girl has been charged with 2 counts of criminal solicitation for murder after she paid 2 people to kill her parents. Prosecutors made their case in closing arguments yesterday that a Chinese businesswoman knew an event she planned to attend at President Trump's Mar-a-Lago club had been canceled, but she still wanted to get onto the property, and she lied to Secret Service agents to make that happen. Florida is cracking down to ensure school districts, state colleges, and state universities are protecting students' social security numbers. Southern Gardens Citrus, one of the last orange juice producing facilities, announced that they would end processing orange juice, citing a flood of imported orange juice from Brazil and Mexico. And Universal's Halloween Horror Nights is officially underway. And that is your news brief from The Source.
Sunshine and some clouds on this Wednesday, and becoming breezy in the afternoon with a stray shower.